Greetings, everyone. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a new episode of Random Encounters. Almost forgot what show I was doing. Random Encounters, the show where I do improv cartooning. I take random encounter tables, like you find in games such as Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop role-playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons. It's like I haven't done this before. And I use them together with an die rolling app and input from anyone who happens to be in the live chat while we're doing this. And I put together a random who and a random what into a prompt for a cartoon. And then I do that cartoon while you're watching for your entertainment and mine. I find this fun. This is a lot of fun. Something I do on my own for entertainment and for, as they say, ideation, to come up with ideas. People often ask cartoonists and writers of all sorts, where do your ideas come from? Well, a lot of us have games like this we play with ourselves, or we do when we're trying to come up with ideas. This is one of the ones that I use for that purpose, and just for entertainment. So, I do it for fun. I do this drawing on my iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil and the app Procreate. This is completely unsponsored. I tell you those things because people ask, and I like to let you know. That's what I use. So I use for my fun drawings, what I use for my professional drawing, and yeah. Hello, Michael. Is the power back on? Well, look, we are here. We are here in the Standplex. The power is back on. Power came on a couple of hours ago. That, for those who are watching on replay, is the backdrop of all this. The other night we had what they're calling a bomb cyclone hit the Pacific Northwest, and about 500,000 people were out of electricity and internet, and I was one of them. And it was about a day and a half I was without electricity. I had to cancel my Wednesday night show, the Dragons 50 Years in the Dungeon show. Got postponed. We'll be doing that again. Well, next week is Thanksgiving, so we got something special. But we'll pick it back up again. Colin McComb was supposed to be my guest last night, and he has agreed to come back. We'll have him on the week after Thanksgiving. So I had some very good friends who let me stay in their houses for times during the day, do a little work, what work I could, and just kind of stay warm, keep my phone and my iPad charged. I had another friend with a guest room who invited me to stay, and I had a lot of support from my friends who did have power, and it made me feel very loved and safe. But this afternoon, while I was sitting here in the cold, because there was a shipment, I had a package that was being delivered that I knew I was going to have to sign for. So I came to the apartment. I was sitting around just kind of waiting, doing a little reading by the light of the window when the power came back on. And so I very quickly put together everything I needed to make sure that tonight's show went off. And here we are. Michael says, we had a tornado here in the Berg. A tornado? Wow, that's unusual for there. Hope that everything is well by you. So a lot of serious weather happening this week. A lot of serious stuff going on this week, which is another reason why we should do some things just for fun and to kind of decompress and just enjoy ourselves. And that, my friends, is what Random Encounters is all about. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to flick this switch and show you that these are our encounter tables for tonight. And we're going to hop on over to the die roller, and we're going to get going. We're going to pick a who, and we're going to pick a what, and I'm going to get drawing. So here we go. Once or twice, a third time. Two. Two is our first who, and once or twice, a third time. Six. Six is our first what. And what that translates to is 2 is a Treant, and 6 is a Pop Quiz. All right, Pop Quiz. Tell you what, when I was laying these out, I thought, oh, a Treant ironing clothes would be fun. He could hang the clothes on himself. Um, but a Treant is, for those of you who are not D&D literate, Treant is the same thing as an Ent from Lord of the Rings. And if you're into neither of those things, what are you doing here, first of all? But if you're not, they are big, mobile tree people. That is what a Treant is. So we're going to turn off that. We're going to come to our sketch layer, and I've got my blue sketching pencil with the studio pen, and that's what we're going to do. So it's going to be a pop quiz. All right, I'm going to be a little more literal than I often am literal in these. Okay, so we're going to start. We've got a tree trunk and feet, and a rough shape for the tree, and we're going to have some branches out here and there. Guess we'll have more branches than usual, but I'm going to have a just kind of popping out from buds. This feels like a springtime Treant, despite the fact that we're here at the in the grips of autumn, heading into winter. We're going to have a pop quiz, and that the quiz is going to pop up on his branch. Michael says if it were an ant, they'd never answer the question in the time. Yeah, that would be they would need a lot of time for that quiz. Well, the answer is um. I guess maybe I can center this a little better since I'm not going to have anyone else in this drawing. Just move this around a bit. Give me a little extra room at the top. There we go. All right, that is our sketch. And I'm going to go to my lines layer now and switch over here. Now, I'd like the way this face is turning out. I'm going to start there. Ooh. He's very excited. You can tell someone studied. Someone's confident in how well he knows the material. Now, like to with Treants, their hands and feet are twiggy, right? They're long and thin and sticky. What's brown and sticky? A stick. Sometimes what the world really needs is a good dad joke. And even if the world doesn't need it, I do. So, Michael, you're saying that there was a tornado in the in the Berg area last night. Uh, I'd say I will say that naturally been very preoccupied with the weather out here, so I was unaware of that. Um, is everyone okay? Was there much damage associated with it? Okay, and let's see here. My basic ideas for doing bark are to have lighter lines that go long ways in the up and down, but not all the way. And often they loop in on themselves, creating that feeling of a knot or just the way bark on many trees. It doesn't feel very regular. It's got a lot of lumps and bumps. And that's how I simulate that. Gonna give him knobby knees. Knobby or knotty? It's kind of the same if you're a treant. So Mike saying tornadoes in the city are rare. Yeah, no, usually tornadoes in any city are rare. Just the density of the buildings tends to break up the long wind lines you need for tornadoes to touch down. But of course, just because they're rare doesn't mean they never happen. All right, here we go. Here's where it gets a little interesting. Let's try and show exactly what's going on here on the branch. And this is the part where I would normally take a little more time to plan out what's going on if I was planning to use this as a finished piece. This whole top of the tree is where I am least confident because I want there to be some feeling of the canopy of leaves, but I also want to show the branches. And it's not that that's necessarily difficult, but it requires some planning to do it well. And of course, whole point of this show is to do everything improv and without a lot of planning. I see Michael is typing a bunch of stuff there in the chat, and I've got my head down, so I will come up to look at it. I'm kind of impolite of me to ask questions and then not even look up to see the answers because I'm drawing. That's what I'm doing. But, it's one of the tricks of this whole live streaming internet thing is to be engaging while I'm still doing my thing. I've over the last year or two, I've been part of a couple of different groups to help improve my knowledge and skill at this uh, live stream hosting thing, and it's been impressed upon me how helpful it is to keep the audience engaged, to make sure I'm not only talking to you, but saying, hey, what do you think about this? Tell me in the chat. Or pose a question. Anything like that ever happened to you? What about this thing you're talking about? Tell me more. Tell me in the chat. Engage. And I guess usually I do lessons about drawing, but one of the reasons for that is it's more entertaining for you as an audience. One of the reasons for that is that the more you guys interact, the more you type in the chat and do things like that, the better it is for me in the algorithm. The dreaded algorithm. The thing that YouTube uses to decide what videos to share and whether or not they are how well they are liked by their audience and who likes them, and thereby who they should share it with later. So the more you interact, the more points of data they have, and the more that they promote the show. And I want them to promote the show. Hello, Chris. I see Chris has popped in, and so has Patrick. Thank you for joining. All right. So we've got here. That's looking good. I'll turn the sketch layer off, and we'll see how things look. I don't think we need a lot of extra here. This is looking pretty good. Got a Treant and a Pop Quiz. Pop Quiz popping up there. So let's go to the colors layer. Switch over to the gloaming brush, which is one of the brushes that's in the main pack for Procreate. It's got to feel somewhere between a marker and a crayon and a colored pencil. And it allows me to do this kind of coloring that I'm about to demonstrate, as I always do, which I generally just refer to as a shape within a shape. I don't try to fill all of the spaces like you often hear people telling young kids with crayons, fill in the space. But I think about the shape of these things that I'm drawing. Like the eyes are definitely round. So that means that there's some kind of socket there. So I want to color in that circular way around it to create the feeling that it's there. And then the rest of it, I'm adding to that feeling that the bark is not a singular smooth piece by coloring in strips going up and down, kind of like I was talking about the way I was drawing those lines. By doing that, by leaving these little bits of empty space, I'm encouraging your brain to see that as, your brain will interpret it that it's there for a reason. It will, so I'm engaging your brain in my effort to make you see things the way I want them to be seen. There we go. I'm using your brain against you. Well, I mean, this is it's for you, because you make your brain for you to help you see the things that are, see the possibilities. Go. And then we will come here to a nice green. And again, I'm going to pick out the shapes within this canopy of green, so it's not just a single large mass. There are clumps of leaves, some in front of and behind others. Always, you see, I mostly think of these as clumps, like balls of leaves. And if you look at trees, you'll see that a lot of different species have that kind of collection. The branches and the leaves on them will grow in these clumps that are roughly ball or blob shaped and move around in the wind and such. There we go. Do that, and now, and if you zoom in, if I take the lines away, see, it's just a bunch of little globby greens that doesn't necessarily look tree-like, and kind of with the brown there, I guess you see it. But if I just zoom in like this, you wouldn't say, "Oh my God, that's a tree with lots of clumps of leaves." But if I put the lines back in and you see that, they accentuate it. They work with the lines. And what do we need to do here? We need to, come along, give purple as the color of our pop. And I'm going to put a little blue highlight on the quiz so it doesn't look like flat white. Again, just trying to give it that extra bit. I'm going to come in here with a little bit of a darker green for the buds. And I was about to start putting it into the tree, but I think that's more detail than is needed. One of the things you do want to think about when you're doing things like this, and you have the chance to, like I could add that, just go in with a second color of green to make the leaves pop out, but that would add a level of detail which is higher than the level of detail of everything else. And again, the main thing you don't want to do is to draw the eye of the viewer to something that's not important, because if it draws their eye, they will assume it's important. All right, so what do I want to do? I want to, it's a little strong on the color, so I'm going to drop the opacity just a little bit on this. About 10%? Yeah, about 10%. That brings those lines out a little better, and we have ourselves, if I come back to my lines layer, on my inking brush, I can throw a stand down there in the corner because we're done. We have ourselves a Treant with a pop quiz. Proud of myself. Little bit. There we go. So I can now catch up with what's going on here in the chat. What's going on here in the chat? I guess it's a very Disney tree. Yeah, no, it does. It looks a lot, not surprising to me, given how much I like the animation from the mid-20th century. It does have that, but it is little Disney, little Looney Tunes. I often go back to the trees, the apple trees from The Wizard of Oz when I think about things like this. So it's not surprising me that's in there. Chris Andrews says, this drawing reminds me of a joke. What did the hobbits scream as they were riding into the battle against Isengard? Run, Forrest, run. It would be funnier if I said it. What do they say? They say, "Run, Forrest, run!" There you go. It's all in the delivery. Does the algorithm measure chat? Michael asks. Less so. Yes, it does. It definitely measures it. The fact that people are coming in to watch it live, it measures that. How active the chat is while we're going, it measures that. And those are all terrific, and very helpful. It measures even more comments that are left by viewers who watch it afterwards. But particularly for the live, again, it's a smart algorithm. So if people are engaging in the chat while we're live, that tells the algorithm that while I'm live, it should tell more people about me because they may want to come in and engage in the chat. If people leave messages after it's done, then that tells the algorithm that anyone who comes back and watch is involved enough to want to say something, and so they should spread it. It should spread it wide as a replay option. Um, they, they're not dummies that write these algorithms. YouTube went down on your own, Michael. Oh well, sorry to hear that. YouTube. Thank goodness you have other options. All right, so there we go. That is our Treant having a pop quiz. I'm going to finish that sip there and come back. And it's time to move on and do a second drawing. So we'll close out round one. Turn back on our encounter tables. And roll up a second prompt. There we go. Once, twice, a third time, and 3. 3 is our second who, and once, twice, third time, 5. 5 is our second what. So we'll come back and see that 3 and 5 is an Imp Shaving. Imp was the last one that I put in on this particular grouping. I'd gotten 5 out of the 6 and just was like, I don't know. What haven't I put up in a while? I've got the fire elemental and I've got a goblin. I always have adventure. I keep adventure in there all the time. And I like to have a good mix of types of things. I was a little... I put this together this afternoon because usually I do my prep the day before or the day and a half before and storm. Right. So I picked Imp, which is always weird. So an Imp Shaving. Now, it could be the Imp is shaving, or the Imp could be doing the shaving, or the Imp could be watching someone shave. We've got a lot of possibilities. So let's close out that image, come back here to our blue sketch lines, and go with the Imp Shaving. Okay. All right. So here's what I want. I want a face that's going to be shaved. Kind of just rough that in there. It's going to have shaving cream. And I think we're going to have one Imp here holding up the nose. And another Imp here with a straight razor and a big grin on his face. And our person getting the shave is going to be a little worried. Go. I don't know. I'm not sure how good that looks to you, how clear that looks to you, but it works for me. Shaving his ears. Yeah, well, the imp could be shaving his ears. And the other thing we could have done is had a tiny little imp shaving itself. I like this idea. Kind of the imp barbershop. The imp run barbershop. Okay. I'm liking this. I'm gonna go with it. So we'll go up to the lines layer. And I want to start with something you're confident in, as I say. And I'm going to start with this imp. And our imps are going to have impish looks on their faces. Often, this. So, I mean, what's kind of weird here is I'm starting with the imp holding a thing, and I haven't drawn the thing that he's holding. But here, let's do that, because I didn't need it for that first arm, but I really do need it for this second arm. There we go. And this guy's got shaving cream on his face. We'll continue with him right now since I'm already down there. And okay, let's get to the imp here. And those of you who know, imps have these long tails with scorpion stingers at the ends of them. At least D&D imps do. That's one imp. We've got our guy in the barber's chair. Still got some hair. He's here for a shave, though. So we're going to have shaving cream all up around his face like that. And our other imp is going to have a big grin on his face. big toothy grin. As he looks at that guy, because he's holding a big old straight razor. Like that. I think we'll use some coloring to put a nice sheen on that, and maybe even a little glare, a little lens flare glare. To get his tail in. And then wings. And I just saw me do this a little while earlier, but doing bat wings like this, I usually just worry about getting the positioning in for the flanges on the wing, the kind of spokes on the wing, and then connect them up at the bottom. There we go. And maybe give this guy's mouth and give him an idea of where his mouth is, just because that helps with his expression. Smock covering him. There we go. And the only so talk about not wanting. I often will talk about not wanting to have inadvertent tangents. Over here, I'm going to switch colors so I can more easily show it. Uh, the edge of the razor and the uh, shaving cream are matching up in inadvertent tangents, which make it a little difficult to see where one ends and the other begins, and to place exactly where they are in space around each other. So I'm going to shorten up the razor. Give it a nice, dangerous corner there. And I'm going to move the shaving cream up away from it. And I'm going to move that mouth now, too. Bring it out the other side. And now there's no longer the tangent here, and it's very clear that this mouth goes under one end and out the other, and it just puts everything. It makes it clearer. It's not that it's that much more. It's not as actually that much better in any of the individual pieces, but it is. It's better in that your brain doesn't have to think about what's going on there. I'm not sure. That is where the problem lay. All right, so let me just come here and do that. It doesn't really matter, and yet I'm doing it. All right, there we go. Let's turn off the sketch and see what we've got. It's looking pretty good. I want to maybe do that a little bit, but on the whole, I think we've got it. All right, let's go to the gloaming brush again and do some coloring. Hello, Linnea. Glad you could make it. I hope you're having a good day at work. All right, we're going to start with the imps who are red. I have to be careful. Last time I wound up having to turn the color down, so I like to pick my colors, and then I don't really. I'm doing this so quick, I don't have time to really make sure that the colors I'm picking are the right intensity so that they work with the lines and not kind of fight with the lines. That's what was going on in the other one. And when they fight with the lines, I will turn the opacity up or down on the lines, which means I'm letting more white through. I'm making them less opaque. You can see through them to the white below, and that lightens them up a bit and lets the color of the lines and the color play well together. They enhance each other rather than fighting with each other. All right, here too, I want to do this for the wings. I want to get the fingertips, as it were, of these wings to be the color of the imp's body, and then we'll use a different color for the skin between. What do I want to do here? I want to come up with a very dark red to do the imp's hair. And then I think I want kind of a yellowish tan color to make the wings feel a little leathery. I think I also want to go for a pale yellow for their teeth. I don't want them to have white teeth. I want them to see eyes too. They're evil. They're evil. Let's see. What do I want to do? I want to get the handle of the shaving of the razor. Darker color on the side. Again, to emphasize the fact that they're on two different sides. The light's hitting them in different ways. And then I want a light blue. I was talking about this before. Kind of a light blue to reflect off there. No, I want a very blue, but light, to make it seem silvery and keen. Hey, another thing, I'm going back to my inking brush, and I'm going to put some lines like this in just to make it seem really dangerous, maybe even darker. To emphasize that edge. Shing! That's what it would sound like in the anime. Come back here, and again, my shapes within the shapes. Kind of, let's see, maybe his hair. I'm going to give him some kind of light green for his shirt. And I think we're just going to make the red. What colors would they use on a smock? Blue again? Let's say they wouldn't use red because red looks like blood. Too dark. And I don't want the colors. I don't want this color to fight for attention with the other things. I want it to just kind of blend into the background as that part of the seat. You can use it darker on the side because what that's doing is paying attention, drawing attention to the fact of it being a two-shaped object, two-sided object. Or three-dimensional object. Probably an even better way to say that. All right, there we go. Oh, I also want to get the shaving cream, so I'm going to go back and give that kind of cream colored brown, the yellowish, no, that yellowish brown. It's fighting with the, there we go. It's a little more yellow maybe than I normally would go, but it otherwise is fighting with the green on the smock. We just want to make sure that there's a way to immediately separate in this big area of things that are mostly white, where the razor and the shaving foam are not only different things, but different textures, different feelings. But there we go. That's looking pretty good. I don't think we even need to do any shading on that. I'm just going to come in here and drop a stand in the corner, because we have our, oh, almost. I didn't get the sweat bullets. Um, two kinds of sweat bullets here. The kind that are shooting off the head and the kind that are dripping down his face. The kind that are dripping down his face, we definitely want to have a blue. We want it to read as water, as sweat. So just a little highlight of grayish blue. The ones that are shooting off his head are danger bullets. So we're maybe going to pick a magenta. No, too close to the red. A dark purple. Yeah, there we go. All right, and there it is. We've got Imp's shaving, or getting ready to shave, a very nervous customer. So that's our second drawing for the evening. Imp's shaving. So let's see what's going on here in the chat. I scrolled back a little bit to catch up. Shaving the ears. Last thing I typed on Twitch was the Imp is shaving his ears, not his face. Yeah. One of the imps must have a very sharp. It sure does. Very sharp razor. You like the toothy grin? Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, I think that turned out pretty good. He is so having fun. Hey, this is just relax. I'm a pro. Diablo Brothers Barbershop. If I was going to draw this, that would be a good thing for it to say in the window. You're not my regular barber. You're imp posters, says Chris. You're not my regular barber. You're imp posters. I do love a good pun. Yeah, that's a good pun. Michael agrees with you. Good one. Good one, Chris. Go slow with the blade. Don't be impatient. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a pun night. Whew. Yeah, so it's been a crazy week with the whole storm and the power outage and everything coming back just in time for me to be able to do this tonight. I'm very thankful for a lot of things. I had a lot of friends who helped me out. And some of my friends were also without power for a while. I was the last of my most local immediate friends to get power back. But several of us were in the same boat for a while, and everyone pitched in as they could. But everyone, you would forgive people who have been out for a while and had lost the internet or had trees fall down in their yards or various things, to kind of hunker down and worry about themselves, focus on themselves. But they all reached out and offered to help me. What did I need? If I wanted to come over, I could come over and get warm. They offered, want to have some dinner, and let's say one of them had a guest room that offered for me to stay at last night, and others would have also. And it really, while the immediate thought is, how unlucky am I that everyone else's power came back and mine didn't, and it's an inconvenience. There are many inconvenient things about it. Maybe the initial thought is to go that way. I really, though, focus on the, how lucky I was that I had that many people who were willing to immediately jump in and put their most immediate needs aside for a second to make sure I was okay. So, a nice lesson in gratitude, I think. And carry that with me into next week's Thanksgiving and beyond. How much of Seattle is still out? Asked Michael. I'm not sure. They made a lot of headway today. Originally, it was about 500,000 people. I think as of this morning it was about 300,000 people, 200,000 people, somewhere in that range. I haven't heard any reports on how many got it back today, but you know, in chunks, a few thousand at a time. I know my area was like a 2,000 person grouping on one grid. So when mine came back, it meant about 2,000 other people got their power back too, or households, 2,000 households got their power back too. So 1,000 here and 1,000 there, it adds up quickly. Uh, I I do also want to, for what it's worth, here on my show, express my gratitude and thanks to the people of Puget Sound Electric and the power company and all the other uh, uh, emergency responders and repair people who've been working. They've been doing 24-hour work to get everything going. And I want to just my little thank you out to those of you watching and to the universe. So there we go. Um, the thing is tonight we're supposed to get another windstorm, so I'm thankful everything's back, and I'm crossing my fingers that it stays back because it's not a given. Okay, let's come back here. We'll look at our shaving imps and come back. Turn that off. Turn on round 3, and turn back on our encounter tables. And do one more drawing. We're going to go back and do one more drawing. So, go over here and pop back to the dice and see what the dice give us for our third random encounter. Once or twice a third time, 1. 1 is our first who. And once or twice a third time, 4. 4 is our third who and our third what. 1 and 4. So it's a fire elemental ironing clothes. Okay. Alright. Little on the nose, but sure. So turn that off. Come to the sketch layer with our blue inking pen. And we will do some sketching here. Fire elemental ironing clothes. So I guess maybe the first thing I need to do is get an ironing board. Like that. And move that more towards the middle. Blow it up a bit. An ironing board. And there's going to have to be some kind of clothes on it. And a basket of laundry down there. The question is, so it could be the imp itself doing the ironing, or I could have someone else here doing the ironing, holding up the iron, and a fire elemental here is heating it up. I think that's what we'll do. It doesn't really matter, I suppose, but this is kind of a more useful. I don't know, that's the wrong way to say it. It's a more easily understandable situation. Got another kind of a similar face to what I had on the Treant, kind of blowing out fire. Okay, I'm liking how that's looking. Let's go and tackle this. Michael says the fire elemental looks cute, and I haven't even outlined him much. Yep. Well, hopefully he will be cute. All right, so we're on the Lion Slayer. Let's go with our young. I don't know. Is it? Am I falling into gender stereotypes? So I'm drawing male characters all the time. It's time for ironing. I've got a female character. Uh, you gotta keep your eye on that thing. I'm gonna call myself out for it, but I'm not gonna change it. But I will say I've got to do a better job. Got to do a better job. Hello, Lala. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you. And I'm going to need to get rid of that because I'm going with an old-fashioned uh, iron in that it really is just a flat piece of iron that gets heated up. Now, the question I'm having with myself right now is, do I want to draw the elemental in red rather than black lines? I don't know. Let's see what. Let me just try this out. I don't want it to be that. I want it to be a dark red, like maybe like that. And then we're going to go with a yellow for the fire that he's spitting out. You know what? I'm going to try this out. It may not work, but it's another thing you should do when you're just drawing along for fun. Try things out. If they don't work out, doesn't matter. It was all for fun anyway. I'm a little worried about what this is going to do here, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's finish doing the line drawing. And that, we want a basket of laundry down here. It needs to be ironed. I think we basically got the line work done on this. Let's take the sketch off and see what we've got. Let's see, Lala says... Lala, see, Lala's coming at you. Are you guys drawing alongside with me? Are you? I don't know. Okay. All right, let's see what we got going on here. I'm going to turn off the sketch. And yeah, I guess I want to come in here, just do a little more. On the elemental. And the flame too. And then make sure the iron looks completed behind it. Ooh. There we go. Couple of lines there. When I'm putting those on, it's just to emphasize what dimension that plane is going on. There we go. So we will now switch over to our colors layer and our gloaming brush, and we'll put some colors on this and finish up the evening in style. Oop. You know what I didn't do? There's what I didn't do on those lines. On her left arm that's holding the shirt down, I gave her a very definitive sleeve. And over here, well, over here on this side, I didn't. I think I'm going to decide that she's got her sleeve rolled up. While she's doing her ironing. Come to the right layer. There we go. Always make sure you're drawing on the correct layer. Let's see again how I'm picking the shapes. Even with the hair, I'm picking. There's a lot. You can think of hair as a lot of individual shapes, or you can think of it as one big helmet of a shape, or you can look for clumps of it and shapes within um, how the haircut, how the particular style is made up. And I think I'm going to go with a blue top. Red belt. Maybe a green skirt. I'm not loving that, but it'll do. And then what do I want? I want a blue-gray. Oh, look at how I'm, again, going for the shape within the shape. I put those lines here to define that this shape is going side to side. So when I'm coloring it along that plane. Again, that's part of the shape, identifying the shape that you're coloring. That I hate saying this over and over. Shape within a shape. Shape within a shape. It's kind of like any other, like when you're cutting wood or slicing a turkey. You want to cut with the grain. You want to color with the grain of whatever it is you're coloring. There we go. Now I want to. Here's where it gets funny. I've done the outline of our elemental in red, so I want to color his body yellow. And I've done the outline of the flame yellow, so I want to make it a red flame that he's spitting out. Again, I'm playing around with this idea. I didn't come in with it, but after going with the red lines to define the body, I didn't think it would be good to then make the body red along with it. I'm not sure that this works 100% well, but it certainly is. It's getting some of what I want in that we got the red to define the flame, the body of the elemental. I'm kind of surprised that I didn't think that was going to work out terribly well, but I think that it's looking pretty good. Okay. It's looking all right. And then we got the laundry basket down here. And our actual laundry, we want to give that some color. And again, kind of a light blue on this shirt. What else do I want to do? I think I want to put a little shading in the hair. To help accentuate that idea that it's not, even with the shapes within the shape, that there's a sense of these things being separate and having a weight relation between them. Think of everything else. The skirt is the thing that could use a little help here. That green I picked was just a little too light. It's too tennis ball optic yellow. But if we use the shadowing to darken it up a little, that actually plays down that tennis ball look, and it now feels like a better color for a skirt. I wasn't going to do the top, but having done the hair and the skirt, I now really kind of need to. Again, to keep your eye from looking at it and going, well, why isn't there shading on that? What does that mean? It must mean something. There we go. All right. Yeah, I was a little skeptical. I'll be honest. I was a little skeptical of this one in the middle, but I like how it turned out. So I'm going to take my little pen here, and down in the corner, we're going to add a stan because we have a fire elemental ironing the clothing, or helping, in any case, helping to iron the clothing. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Let's see what's going on here in the chat. Let me see what Lala was saying. Lala, I'm so glad you were able to join us. I know, our time differences are so different. Lala, for those of you who don't know, is in the Philippines, and so this is just not a very good time slot for her. And her shows very often are at times that are just not a good time slot for me. But I go out of my way, and she goes out of her way to occasionally show up at each other's shows because we are friends and because we're such big fans of each other. If you are at all into crafting or doing artistic kind of things, you should check out Mommy Guide Inc., Lala's channel, because she has interviews with all kinds of creative folks, and they do all sorts of fun projects. And she had to drop out. So Lala, if you come back and watch this again, I want you to know I'm very happy you showed up. Thank you very much. I'm so glad the Fire Elemental Union settled. I'd hate for them to strike while the iron is hot. Yeah. Okay. Now that's a good pun. It's a good impetus for a pun. I would want to play with that more. That's often talk about it with these ideas. If I was going to want to use them for something other than the fun exercise that we're doing there, if I was trying to make something out of them, I would take these ideas and set them aside, or just kind of spend some time mulling them over. And that's one. Striking while the iron is hot is a really good pun for this. But having the pun be that they are striking, if they're striking, the iron can't be hot, right? There's a logical stumbling block, just like the visual stumbling blocks I'm always talking about. There's a logical stumbling block in that joke that will trip people up, I think, in my opinion. And honestly, it's just my opinion. Um, but it's a really good pun to use for this kind of thing. Still making the imp puns. Okay. Oh, Chris Andrews says, beautiful work night. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Um, um, all right, so let me have one more sip and we'll wrap this up. It's been a fun evening of cartooning. I've had a good time tonight. Coming back after the power outage to do some improv cartooning with you all. We had 3 fine prompts and 3, I hope, fine cartoons. This was, of course, an iron or a fire elemental and ironing clothing. And before that, we had Imps Shaving. And before that, we started off with a Treant and a Pop Quiz. So that was a good evening of cartooning. Yes, hopefully the Pop Quiz, the Pop surprise is I'm here, because as of noon, I went to my social media and posted, I guess there's not going to be any show tonight. But thankfully, that turned out not to be the case. Things worked out. Things worked out all around. Knock on wood. Knock on former Treant. Am I on Blue Sky? I am on Blue Sky, Michael, and let me just look up so I don't tell you the wrong address. But my Blue Sky is Stanex. It's bluesky.app/profile/Stanex STANNEX .bsky.social. Stanex, STANNEX, as with so many other things. And you'll find me. So, yes, there we go. It's been another fine evening of improv cartooning. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you, Chris and Michael and Lala, who was here for a bit. And who else? Linnea was here for a bit. Dale Donovan, I missed you. I missed Dale. Dale earlier said, I didn't think you'd be on. Yeah, I was just talking. I didn't think I was going to be on either. Hopefully you got to watch some of this, Dale, and hang out. It was good seeing you. Who else was here? Patrick DeLise was here. Yeah, so a good fun night, particularly given that 4-5 hours ago, I didn't think I was going to be here at all. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you if you're watching on a replay. Please take a minute to let me know if you are. Just say hi. I'd like to know who's here, and if you have things that you would like to see me do. Give me ideas for my who and what random encounter tables. I'm always making this stuff up myself. Becky, hey, Becky showed up just as we're wrapping up. Thank you, Becky, for showing up. Glad to see you too. Michael says, stay dry and warm out there. Thank you very much. You stay dry and safe there in the Berg. I will be back. Well, next Thursday is Thanksgiving. So keep your eyes. There was talk about, particularly on YouTube, of clicking the bell and subscribing. These things are very important because I think that let me rearrange that sentence. If I did not have my week interrupted with the power outage, I was planning on Saturday or Sunday doing an episode of Random Encounters, a Thanksgiving themed one to record so it would release on Thanksgiving. And I'd still like to do that, but I don't know that I can get it done over the weekend. It might have to be on Monday or Tuesday, also even Wednesday. So keep your eyes open to my social media, and for sure, subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. give it a thumbs up. Ring the bell. If you hit the bell, you'll be notified when I'm going to go live and when a show is scheduled. So there you go. Just a little heads up. I did a Thanksgiving show last year. It was a lot of fun. I think I'm going to do another one this year, but I don't know exactly when right now. I'm still, they say the power's back on, but it's only been on for about 4 or 5 hours. It's amazing how a day and a half really kind of throws a 2 or 3 day wrench into my whole rhythm and my schedule. So I've got to figure out how I'm going to hit the deadlines I need to hit and all those other things that are part of being a freelance cartoonist. So there you go. And speaking of that, I should probably grab myself some dinner and then get into making up some of the time I lost the last couple of days. So thank you all again. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you just for caring enough to watch. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.